forward-looking statements. My name is Charles Watkins, and I'm a lead developer here at Salesforce. I'm based in Seattle. And the reason we're here is because we are in the third wave of AI, and that wave is agentic. What really separates this wave from previous waves, predictive AI, co-pilots, is that we're transitioning to a world where we are now able to create automations and create robots and create cars that can do things on our behalf. They're agentic. They don't just assist us, they get the job done themselves. And at the heart of this agentic third wave of AI is large language models. Now, one thing I want to talk to you about is the three types of large language models. Uh, it started with chatbots, right? These are programs that accept natural language questions or prompts and generate responses. These are things like ChatGPT or Google Gemini. And what really characterizes chatbots are that they're conversational. You can talk to them and they'll always respond. They're responsive and they're passive. So they'll answer your question, but they won't do anything. By contrast, we also have agents. Now, these are autonomous or semi-autonomous programs that can not only speak and converse in natural language, but they can plan steps to accomplish a specific task. And what differentiates this from chatbots is that they're autonomous, they're proactive, and crucially, they're a little opaque. They'll create a plan, but you won't know exactly how they decided to create a plan. They just do it with their reasoning engine. Now, the third type of a large language model tool that does not get as much hype as the first two is the AI workflow. And that's what we're here to talk about today. These are automations that use predefined steps that include one or more prompts to a large language model. And what really characterizes this type of large language model tool is that they're orchestrated, they're automated, and crucially, they're transparent. You know why everything happens because you program it the same way you program a flow or an Apex method. Now, AI workflows don't get a lot of hype because they don't solve huge problems like customer support in the way that an AI agent could. You deploy an Agentforce service agent and it can just deflect cases for you. But AI workflows are really great for solving small problems and a multitude of small problems. For example, you could use an AI workflow to write friendly customer product descriptions. You could summarize any open cases. You could automatically create knowledge articles. And those are just a few examples of how you could use an AI workflow. And so I want to challenge you all to take a moment and think about how you might use an AI workflow in your Salesforce org. What are things that you could automate that could take advantage of a large language model, that could take advantage of the fact that we can now take structured data and create unstructured data, descriptions of them, summaries of them, right? Just take a moment. There's a lot of problems that you can actually solve with AI workflows. Now, when you want to build an AI workflow outside of the Salesforce ecosystem, you would have to integrate with a specific AI provider like OpenAI or Anthropic or Google. But when you use Salesforce, you can use Prompt Builder. And Prompt Builder is a tool that exists to allow you to use generative AI safely and with ease. You don't have to do any programming with Prompt Builder. Of course, you can, and it will help you build more complex prompts, but it's not required. Um, it's natively embedded in Salesforce, and so you can ground your prompts with your CRM data. And because these are templates, it allows you to refine and reuse prompts that are useful to you and then deploy them across your business. Because there are a subset of problems that come up over and over again as it relates to generative AI in the CRM works in the CRM problem space, there are four types of prompt templates, and actually, I think there's closer to six now. They're constantly creating new types of prompt templates. The first is a sales email. This exists to allow your users to create highly personalized and relevant uh, emails using CRM data as context. There's the field generation one that allows you to, within a single click, generate summaries and descriptions of objects inside of Salesforce, records inside of Salesforce, using a prompt, using large language models. There's the record summary to give you a 360 view of a record based on the data within the record as well as related lists. And then there's the flex template. And this is a special type of template that you can invoke from Apex as well as REST. And I'm going to show you how to do it in Apex in a little while. Now, as I said before, the thing that makes Prompt Builder special is that it's natively embedded inside of Salesforce. And so you can take advantage of all of the data that you have in Salesforce to build these really powerful prompts. You can, of course, bring in your CRM data using merge fields. You can bring in data from external sources via Data Cloud. You can also use Data Cloud to ground your prompts with unstructured data like PDFs and transcripts. But you don't have to just use regular data. You can also use automations. And so you can ground with Flow, you can ground with Apex, and you can ground with external systems using MuleSoft. Now, when you use generative AI with Salesforce, it has a particular flow. And this is true of Prompt Builder as well as Agentforce. So it starts off by grounding your data inside of the prompt, right? Your CRM merge fields, your data cloud data, what have you. Next, we send the data securely through the Einstein trust layer. What this does is it automatically detects any PII that might be inside of the prompt, like a name or a birth date or even a social security number if you're using that for some reason, and it replaces it with a placeholder. So that's the Einstein trust layer, in addition to a few other things. The prompt is then sent to one of the prompt is then sent to the large language model provider, whether it's OpenAI or Anthropic or Amazon. Many of them are supported by Salesforce natively with no work on your part. But in any case, whichever one you use, we have a zero retention agreement to ensure that your prompts and your responses and their responses are never used for training. Once the prompt response comes back, the Einstein trust layer takes the placeholders and puts the real values in their place. It also detects for any toxicity that may have come from the large language model. This allows you to be secure that when you're deploying something like Prompt Builder or Agentforce, the responses will never be toxic or biased or anything like that, because we have detection for that to preempt that. So you can use it safely in your external systems and your applications. And again, it's fully integrated with Salesforce CRM. Now let's talk a little bit about what it looks like to ground a prompt. Now, the core of Prompt Builder, the main power that it has is the fact that it's a template so you can reuse it, and the fact that it's natively embedded inside of Salesforce so you can use your data to get better results, because prompts with data are better. They're always going to be better. The more context you provide, the better your prompt responses are going to be. So here we have a case, and we also have a prompt. The colored text relates to the different data within the case that you can pull in. So we'll want to pull in related case comments if we want to summarize the contents of this case. We'll want the case subject because that's important, as well as the priority and the case type. And by being able to pull in all of this information programmatically, we're able to build really powerful automations that take advantage of our Salesforce CRM data. You can also ground your prompts with flows. Not all data is going to come directly from Salesforce. You might need to make an HTTP callout. You might need to combine data from a variety of different sources or filter in a particular way. And in this scenario, being able to use a flow to retrieve information, loop through it, filter it, modify it is very useful. To do this, you only need to go to a flow and create a new flow and use the new template trigger prompt flow. And you can also ground prompts with Apex. Now, grounding prompts with Apex is really straightforward because you just need to make an invocable method. The way you make Apex available to a prompt template is the same way you make Apex available to a flow. You create an invocable method. Now, Prompt Builder is great in terms of being able to pull in data from Salesforce, but it's also really flexible in terms of how you can use it throughout Salesforce. So here I have a nice diagram of some of the different entry points or places that you can use Prompt Builder. Now, out of the box, OOTB, you can use it. You can invoke a prompt template from Preview. You can invoke a prompt template from the email composer. You can invoke a prompt template from a record page. And of course, you can invoke a prompt template from Agentforce as an Agentforce action. You can also invoke a prompt template as part of a flow, and this will allow you to build more complex AI workflows. That's also true of Apex. And if you have a third-party application, maybe you have an application that you deployed on Heroku, hopefully, you can also use your prompt templates there via the REST API. So there's a variety of different ways to use prompt templates. So I've talked a lot about the different ways that you can use prompt templates. Let's hop into a demo. But before that, I'm just going to take a quick look and see if we have any questions. We have any questions? See a lot of chats. Okay, no questions. Well, if you have any questions, you are welcome to ask them in the chat. Okay, so the things that I'm going to be showing you here are partially, I would say 90% based on the Agentforce workshop that you can find on developersalesforce.com under Prompt Builder. Okay, so if you want to do this afterwards, this is the place to go. Now, let's see here. We're going to start by doing a very straightforward example of how to use Prompt Builder to generate information for a field. So the first place we're going to start is in Setup. We'll go to Prompt Builder. And here's the Prompt Builder setup. Here is where you can create a new prompt template. And we're going to create our first prompt template, the field generation template. Now, this is a template that you use to generate descriptions of different objects. So if you wanted to summarize a case, if you wanted to create product descriptions based on product specifications, this is the type of prompt template you would use. So we're going to make one called, let's see, generate experience description test. And I'm just going to call it description test. And I'm going to give it a prompt template description. Now, this is a bit of a sidebar, but when you build automations, it's really important to use template descriptions because descriptions are used by Agentforce, and you'll want to just make sure that you're always naming things well and just creating good descriptions of all of your flows, your Apex code, your prompt templates, what have you. Very important these days. Just a sidebar. Okay. So now we're in the prompt builder, and I want to walk you through the UI just at a high level. First, we have this text area. This is just where we can insert information about our prompt. I'll go ahead and drop some information in here. All right, so we add our prompt information here. Now within our prompt template workspace, we can inject information programmatically into our prompt template using the resource picker. So I need to inject my organization name. I can do that by going to the resource picker, going to current organization, and then here I can search for specific fields by typing in a value and the name. And here I've added in my merge fields. Okay. The next thing you will want to pay attention to is the configuration. This is the specific model that you want to use for your prompt template, as well as any response language settings. In my case, I'm going to switch from GPT 3.5 Turbo, which is a very old model, to the newer, faster, cheaper GPT-4 Omni Mini. Okay. And here we have our preview. This is where we can test our prompt template and iterate and see what our results look like. So let's go ahead and let's give this a shot. So I'm going to just type this in. I'll look for the tropical snorkel adventure, click save and preview. And this is going to send it to the large language model. And it's going to allow us to generate a description. So this looks somewhat good. So we have our resolution, right? This is what we sent to the large language model, and we can see the organization name was changed to Coral Kyle Resorts, and we have our response. Now, this isn't a really good response though, because we didn't add any information. So I'm going to add some more information about the actual experience. I'm going to pop that in here. So here are some more merge fields that I have here, the experience name. And if you're curious how I got there, that's just from the resource picker, experience, type in name, experience name. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to save and preview, see if we get a slightly better response now that we have more data and we're doing more sophisticated grounding. And here, this is a lot better. It's more descriptive and it's using some of the information that we sent, and we can see that information here. Okay. So let's go ahead and activate this. Now that we've activated this prompt template, we can use it. Now, when it comes to field generation templates, you'll oftentimes want to use them on record pages. So how do you do that? Well, if we go to the Salesforce object that we've been working on, which is experiences, we were coming up with descriptions of experiences, just like an activity, I guess. We can hop into our record page. And here we can see we have a record page with the description right here. Now, in order to use our prompt template on this record page, we'll just click on setup and we'll click on edit page. And we're just going to modify the description field. So we click on description, and here we'll see Einstein Generative AI prompt template. Now, because we created a prompt template for this object and this field, we will see that we have our generate description test. And I'll use the real one for now. It's identical, it just has a slightly different name. Click save. And now when I go back to my prompt template, I will be able, when I go back to my record page, I'll be able to use my prompt template. So now we'll see that we have this updated graphic icon here, a pencil with a sparkle. This means that we can use Einstein Generative AI. So if we click here, we now have this button. This allows us to use our prompt template. And here we go. We have a much better prompt template, a much better experience description of this particular activity. We can click use and click save. Now, the benefit of this is that you're going to have descriptions that are a lot more descriptive, and they'll also have a much more similar quality across the different experiences, right? So this is one way to do it. But of course, it would be really annoying if you had to go to every single record page and click this button. But you'll remember that I said that you can use prompt templates in Apex and in flows. So what I'm going to show you is a prompt template that does exactly that. Well, a flow that does exactly that. So I hop into this flow. And this is just let me see here. Get experience by name. Okay. This might be the wrong flow here. Yeah, this is the wrong flow. Let me show you the right flow. Just a moment here. Ah, here we go. Okay, so let me hop back into my flow here. Okay, here we go. So we're in a flow. This is a flow that I created that programmatically calls the goodness. That's not the right flow either. I'm sorry. Sorry, y'all. Give me a second. Let me go hop in a flow builder and grab the right flow. This is what happens when you have too many tabs open, right? Let's see. Here we go. Generate experiences descriptions. This is just an example of how you can use a prompt template inside of a flow. So I'm walking through it. This is just a flow that grabs experiences of a specific type. So this just grabs experiences of a specific type. So any flow that is of type beaches and snorkeling loops through each one and then generates a description using our prompt template, right? And that's one thing I want to call out with Prompt Builder. You can use any prompt template inside of a flow, which is really, really useful. So if I were to run this, so I'll click save and debug for now. If I were to run this in rollback mode, now this is going to might take a little bit of time because it's using prompt builder. And one thing I'll say about large language models and AI stuff in general is that it's not super performant. Like things take seconds instead of like milliseconds, but there we go. So you can see that um, it ran it ran our prompt. So we have one prompt response here for whichever record this one happens to be, and it just kind of looped through. But this show just it's just an example of how you could use prompt template in an automation. Really useful stuff. And you could also do this inside of a flow, inside of an Apex method if you wanted to. All right. Next up, let's see here. Next, let's talk a little bit about um, actually using things like flows and Apex to improve a prompt and ground a prompt. So I'm going to hop into another demo here, and we're going to take a look at this prompt. So I've already written this prompt out, but this is just called a sales email prompt. And a sales email prompt just exists to help you generate sales emails. Um, and so here in this prompt, I am instructing my large language model. I'm telling him that his name is my name, Charles, and that it works as a part of the guest success team at my organization, which is the Coral Cloud. And I give it a specific direction to generate an email welcoming the guests for their upcoming stay. I get the guest email from my resource picker, which is going to be a contact object. And here I need to get two things, uh, the check-in date and the guest interest. Now, these things might not exist inside of Salesforce, but you can get to them by using automations. Now, when it comes to the check-in date, I have an Apex method that allows me to get a check-in date using a contact object's ID. So I'm just going to replace this with a different type of merge field from Apex. I'm going to use get check-in date. Now, under the hood, this is an invocable method. And I can give you a quick rundown of what that looks like. So if we hop over here, I have a invocable method that I wrote. I won't step through it too much, but essentially all I'm doing is I am getting the contact object from the prompt template. I'm querying it with SOQL. And then I'm just setting up my response for my invocable method and essentially just kind of add in a date. Um, this part doesn't matter too much. What matters the most is that this works because it's an invocable method. I have the invocable method annotation here, and it's a static method, and it returns a list and takes in a list. It's bulkified, right? So if you know how to write invocable methods for using Apex inside of flows, guess what? You know how to write invocable methods for prompt builder already. Let's see here. Yeah. So you already know how to write invocable methods for prompt builder. The next thing is to get a list of experiences of the guest's interests. And for this, I can ground it with a flow. So here I have my add experiences to prompt flow here. And to take a look at this, this is just a um, specific type of flow called a template triggered flow inside of Flow Builder. Now, if we look inside of Flow Builder, you can see that this is a template triggered prompt flow. And in order to get the experiences for a particular guest, the only thing I need to do is grab the is to just essentially uh, get records for get experience records essentially, and I'm just going to filter it by the experiences type, uh, where the type is equal to one or more of the recipient's interests. So if any of these interests are related to, if any of the experiences types are related to the recipient's interests, it'll get added. It'll be retrieved by this record here. And then in a loop, I'll use the special action called add prompt instructions. So at a high level, what happens here is that you just programmatically add a value to the prompt instructions. It doesn't always have to be a loop. It could just be the result of a call out. It could be any number of things, right? It could be one, it could just be, say, one value. But in my case, I want to add multiple experiences, so it's in a loop. But the most important thing here is that if you want to add the value to the prompt template with a flow, you need to use this add prompt instructions action here, and then just add the resource or the variable in this little text box here. So if we hop back to my email, we can now attempt to test this prompt template. Click save and preview. And here it is. Now, something a little different happened. Because this is a prompt template that uses a name, you'll notice that we have placeholders here for Sophia's name, as well as my name. You'll also notice there's a nice little message about the Einstein trust layer. That's how you know that it went through and Einstein trust layer changed the template before sending it to the LLM provider. So as we can see here, we have a really nice email. Welcome to the Coral Cloud Resort, Sophia. And I wish there was a way to make this a little bit larger here, but essentially we have a really nice email. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and click activate. I promise you're going to see the email in a moment. But once we're happy with our prompt, we can save it. And in order to use a sales email prompt, we can use it through a flow, but we could also use it from a contact record. So if we hop into the Sophia's contact record here, you can see we'll click on activity, and then we'll click on email. I'm going to make this bigger. Now, in order to use our prompt template, we'll click draft with Einstein, and we'll use our pre-made instructions. This is our prompt template, our welcome email for upcoming visit prompt template, and it will execute it. Now, this is just writing an email for us, and it's perfect. It has our subject line, has a really nice email. It has my name because I'm a part of the guest success team. And one thing that's really nice is that you can iterate on this email and give Einstein instructions. So if I click revise, I can say, please make the email shorter, and it will replace the draft with those instructions.
Yeah, are there any default instructions like make shorter, make informal?
Yes, there are. So let's take a look here. If you click on this button, you have make shorter, make longer, make more formal, make less formal. So you also have those default requests because they are fairly common, but you can be even more specific here. And so that's how you use Prompt Builder with email. And then finally, let's talk about how you could build an action with Prompt Builder for Agentforce. So I have one last prompt template here. Now this is a flex template. And what this template does is it generates a personalized schedule for a particular guest, a particular contact. And it's using an Apex method here. I'm just going to show you how to make an agent action with it. So I'm gonna hop into agents. I'm gonna go to my Einstein Copilot agent. I'm gonna open it in Builder. Now, this Einstein Copilot has a single topic. The topic is customer service assistant, and it's there to help me work with guests at the Coral Cloud Resorts. So, what I'm going to do is click on this topic's actions. I'm just going to make a new action here. So, from the reference action types, I'll click on prompt template, select my template, and I can pick any one, generate personalized schedule. Click next. I just add in some instructions here. So I'll say that this is used to essentially generate personalized responses. I will provide some instructions on the contact, which is our main input. And for the prompt response, it has a default instruction here, so no need to change that. Click finish. And now my my Agentforce agent is ready to use this action. Now, in order to use it, I'll click refresh and I can go ahead and ask a query that would trigger this action. So I could say, create a personalized schedule for Sophia Rodriguez. And Agentforce is going to look at my query and then uh, try and figure out a way to answer it. Let's see. Sophia. It's possible that I spelled her name wrong. Contact record. There we go. And so if we take a look here, we'll see that our customer service assistant, my Einstein Copilot, identified Sophia by name using the identify record by name action, and then retrieved Sophia's contact record and used it with the generate personalized schedule um, action. And that's how you can use Prompt Builder to create really, really awesome and powerful actions. The last thing I'm going to show you is how to use Apex to actually call a prompt template. This is my last demo. All right. So we have this generate personalized schedule prompt template, and this prompt template is a flex template, which means it can be invoked from REST as well as Apex. So I'm going to show you how to do it from Apex. Here in VS Code,
Would you like to take
yeah,
the question now or after Apex?
after Apex, just one last one. Okay. So I have Apex class with an Apex method called get schedule. And I'm not going to walk you through it entirely, but at a high level, you use the connect API. You'll create a connect API value where you specify the input. The input just corresponds with your settings from your prompt template. You'll set the standard invocation parameters, and then you'll invoke the prompt. I want to post an article to this one because it's kind of like you're not going to remember how to do this from me showing you the code. It's more important that you just know that you can. Um, so I'll debug it just to show you that this actually works or execute it anyway. So here's the method that I showed you, and I'm just retrieving Sophia Rodriguez's ID. So click execute, and let's see here. It's taking a little bit of time. But if we scroll up, there you go. Prompt templates being invoked from Apex. Okay, so uh, recap. Um, prompt builder is really powerful, but you still need to do prompt engineering. So just make sure to leverage context and examples, provide any relevant information using merge fields, always provide clear and concise instructions, always define the task, and then finally, uh, set appropriate guardrails if you want to limit the amount of text or you want it to have a specific style. Uh, do include that in your prompt template. All right. Question and answer time. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
So Madhuri, you raised your hand. Would you like to
Yes,
go?
yeah, yes, Sheeba. Hi, Charles. Yeah, so if you can share your screen once with the demo part, I think with the contact, yeah, this one, I think um,
This contact form
the
here.
Agentforce, the template which you are having. So
Oh, this one.
the query, right? So the efficiency, we actually in the conversation we already provided like create a personalized schedule for Sophia, the full name, right? But
Hmm.
again, it is asking like please provide the contact details or like I mean, so we're in
Yes.
like the efficiency. So how it is actually, I mean, we already given the name there. So
Yeah. So so what happened there? And I went probably a little quickly because Agentforce didn't pick up what I wanted it to do immediately. So what happened was I asked it, I was hoping for it to just do everything in one shot. So I asked it, create a personalized schedule for Sophia Rodriguez. But the first time I did it, and now let me here's actually let me find let me find the one. Here it is. So this is the my first prompt. So I asked for it to do it, and it didn't run the action that I wanted it to. I wanted it to identify a record by name, but it didn't quite know what to do. So instead
mm,
of doing the action, it asked for a specific record ID. So I gave it some help. And this is a really important tip with Agentforce. Sometimes it will not always understand exactly what you want it to do. So again, I asked it, okay, retrieve the Sophia Rodriguez contact record. And because I told it that, in its next step, it looked at my first instruction and was like,
okay.
oh, what I need to do is retrieve the contact record and then make the personalized schedule. So when I prompted it this way, it actually did what I wanted it to do the first time, which was to identify the record by name and then generate the personalized schedule. What you'll notice though is that yeah,
Right.
so it just kind of what you'll notice
So
is
the
that I
in
didn't say, create, create the personalized schedule here. It just kind of figured it out. Just
so it will connect in that way, like the input whichever we are actually providing, right?
That's right.
Um, okay, yeah. Thank you, Charles. Yeah, that's
You're welcome.
yeah.
Yeah, I had a question also, Charles.
Yes.
In the topic configuration, there's customer service assistant, right? How many
Yes.
topics can we have, or is it just one topic per agent with a lot of actions associated?
That's a really great question. So, I I have heard, and I haven't committed this to memory, but I think you can have 20 topics. I can follow up with you on that one
Per agent.
for an agent. Yeah, per agent. That being said, you probably want like fewer topics, right? And more agents. Like if you don't want an agent to be, because the more topics you have, the more opportunity you have to have like overlap between topics. And you want your topics to be mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive, right? And so you generally want to have relatively few topics. Um, but you can have up to 20 to answer your
So you
question.
would rather have more actions per topic? And then how much is the limit for the actions per topic? Is there a limit?
Oh, oh, I don't know. I don't know that one offhand. Um, I don't know that one offhand. You can have a lot of actions.
So there are standard actions and then the custom actions. So
Yep. You can have standard actions and custom actions.
this is the
One thing
difference.
I'll say about actions is that you might want fewer actions than more actions. And I'm going to tell you a story why. So I was working on a demo with Agentforce, and I had this action called issue customer credit. And it just issued a customer a credit, right? Created a credit object. And then I also had an action called issue customer credits bulk. Um, and I asked Agentforce to retrieve a list of contacts who had, done something during a certain date. So it retrieved like 50 contacts. And then it's and then I asked it to issue a bulk credit. And because I had two actions related to that thing, it picked the individual one. It was so what it did was it grabbed 50 contacts and then individually issued them a credit. So I had like 50 transactions instead of one. All right. So um, it's good to have fewer. Like if you can bulkify your actions, you should probably do that because if you have an action that can do 50, then the action can also technically do one. So fewer actions is better.
Hmm, got it.
Yep.
Anyone
Uh,
else have a question in the room?
Question from in chat.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Could you?
But it was just given specifically to him.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, I could put it in all of it.
Charles, is a
You can ask the question directly.
there's
yeah.
a from someone in the room. Sorry.
Yeah, from Gary,
Okay.
I'll speak up so you can hear it. So for an enterprise edition customer, what are all the required Salesforce features and components which need to be enabled, whether contacting the Salesforce account rep or through the or through the admin console, in order to use Agentforce?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, in terms of just like the overall org, you're gonna need one of the like Einsteins for sale or Einstein for service licenses. You're gonna want data cloud provision because data cloud is how Agentforce keeps all of like the logs and feedback. And then within the actual org, you're gonna want to go to Einstein setup. this is really important. So the first step is always to type in Einstein setup. And if you don't see Einstein setup, there's a good chance that there is a chance that you don't have the license, right? But you want to go to Einstein setup and you just want to turn on Einstein. Now, once you do this, you can turn on Agentforce. So you turn on Einstein setup, then you go to agents, turn on Agentforce. And of course, gonna want Data Cloud. Now you don't have to pay for Data Cloud, but Data Cloud is a part of Agentforce because Agentforce uses it in the background. Specifically, let me go here. You see these like event logs? Like Agentforce uses Data Cloud in that way. So hopefully that answers the question.
Right, and then with the next question, which is, if I remember correctly, Salesforce is providing Data Cloud for free to use with Agentforce. Is that something that has to be enabled by the account rep?
Oh, I can't speak to whether it has to be enabled by the account rep in terms of Data Cloud. I don't think it does. But don't quote me on that one. I'm less familiar with like what the account rep needs to enable, as opposed to like what you as an admin or developer would need to do. That being said, in all the orgs that I've used, you didn't have to really turn on Data Cloud usage. If you had the user permissions for it, then you could just kind of like stand it up. You could stand it up in this way, right? You just kind of set up your Data Cloud instance and then assign your user permissions, and that's really all you have to do. I don't think you need a rep to do this part. Pretty sure you don't. Any other questions? Oh, also, does that answer your question, Gary?
It answers the question. You know, I've been a consultant and been with different orgs, and sometimes you walk in with a customer and they have everything enabled, and sometimes you get there and you go, you thought you had it, and you have to walk through the process a bit.
No, yeah. I mean, I would say for the most part, and I've run into this a lot, when I can't get Agentforce working in terms of just, figuring out why I can't access it or why I can access it, but it throws an error. In order of it being the most likely reason it doesn't work, it's Einstein setup is not turned on, Data Cloud's not turned on, the Agentforce switch is not turned on. And then the last one is like if the user doesn't have the right permissions to see agent to actually set up an agent in the first place. Those are the main reasons why.
Thank you, Charles. Appreciate it.
Just
Thank you, Gary.
that the Data Cloud is free on to a certain extent, right? So it's not like totally unlimited data kind of thing.
Right,
So the free version is only to use it.
Right.
So I have it there. So there's some limits on that.
Yeah.
And also,
don't-
Data Cloud is with Foundation. Is it linked?
Yeah, Foundation. There are so many new licenses now. So
You have to turn on Foundation.
Foundations, okay.
Yeah, Foundations.
All right. Should I pass it to Krish?
Yeah. Krish.
Sure.
All right, over to Krish. Are you ready?
you can mute any camera.
And thanks, Charles, for a great presentation.
Mute.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Charles. So I'm going to be working off of exercise 4 in real time. So in the first step, in the first exercise, they had, you go to setup menu here, and you would turn on Einstein generative AI. As I know, I'm just saying, just to show. Yeah. Search for generative AI. Yeah, the setting wasn't shown. So you would turn it on first here before doing any generative AI features. And then you would go to the agents and then turn on Agentforce and things like that. So then after you did those steps, you would go to, so you can do code builder, and you have to authorize the org to do that. So you could either use code builder or VS Code. And then this is the code we're using. It's called the check whether. And as Charles said earlier, it's an invocable method. And there's a label here, description, and it's basically checking the weather. So then you can get the real-time weather. So then the chatbot can put the real-time weather in the response. So I'm just going to show you in the developer console, they have you can do also even create an Apex class here, and then get you save the Apex class into here or using VS Code or Code Builder. Then you would create the agent custom action. So from setup, open agent actions. And you would create a new agent action. You select Apex, and you would reference this Apex class will show up here. And then I already have one, but you can just do another agent action, for example. And then for you will have to, I guess you can choose what fields to collect data from. So here it's saying collect data from user for the input date to check. So collect data from user on this one. And then check show in conversation for the for the temperature description. Yes. Oh, so I actually probably put another. So this API name is already in use. But yes, these are the settings you would need. So I already created one in the previously. So add the action to your agent. So open agents. So this is how you get to so I'm using this one. You would open it in Builder. So as Charles showed in the earlier, this is what the agent builder looks like here. And then let me see. I put the check weather into this already created agent here, just because I just wanted to make sure I can add the Apex class. So you would go here, open the builder, click the customer service assistant topic, click the topics actions tab, which is this one. These are all the actions that they can do. So you would just do the plus icon. Where's that? Click plus button to add action. I did this earlier. You see a plus button?
Yeah, there.
Where?
You have to deactivate the agent first.
Oh, yeah, you have to, it's activated.
Oh, okay. So I have to press deactivate first. I think that's what happened. Okay. All right, new, add action, and then you would should be the same process. Or click check the weather action. So this should be the same. But this is already created. Click check the weather action and click finish. So let me see. I don't want to create a new action. I just want to get their existing actions. So I guess you can just add. Let me see. Topic actions, click plus button to add action. So click this. I click this top actions and then I have to do add action. And then it should be already, I think. So Charles, do you have to remake it? I forgot exactly.
No, you don't have to remake it. It's already made and added. So
Yeah, it's already made and added, but how would you add an existing action again?
oh yeah, click on new and then go to add from asset library.
Okay, and that's where it is. Got it. So then if I say check weather, will it show up or it's already?
It won't because you already added it, but if you remove it,
Let me
yeah.
remove it and then try add. Okay, there it is. Cool. So that's there. So I wanted to just add it for demonstration purposes. Then you just type in this here, check the weather for tomorrow. Let's do that. And this should be activated first, maybe, to get it working. And then okay. So there's the temperature here for the resort. So that is the demo.
Show the right side. Show the right side too.
Oh yeah, this is the actual response from the agent.
Just show them.
Yeah, that's good. It worked. Like that was not going to work.
Yeah, I just had to redo some of the steps, but yes, that was the demo for checking your weather, and you could probably just play around with the code that they gave here and try out different APIs to play around with. All right, thank you.
Okay, so that was it for today. So we went through exercise 1, 4, and 5 of this document, Agentforce workshop. And I think in February, we will go through Data Cloud and flow actions. So I've already shared all the documents, and this recording will be posted in YouTube channel. So that was it, and we are on time, I think.
Yep.
We're on time.
Yeah,
So
thank you. Thank you, Sheeba. Thank you, everyone, for this
hope you
presentation.
and thank you for coming and listening in and participating. If you want to ask more questions, now is a chance. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up.
So when we go through the exercise and then if we have some of the questions, additional questions when you are going through the different use cases, do we have any channel to post those questions?
There's obviously that discussion group, the Trailblazer.
Okay.
So there's a whole Agentforce group where you can certainly ask questions.
Sure. Yeah.
You can also ask in the YouTube, and if Charles or me, we see it, we will moderate it.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, I think that was it. So have a
Any other
good
question-
one.
Any other question in the room? Anybody?
So do you publish this video?
Yeah.
YouTube, yep.
Sorry.
What is the YouTube?
I will give you, but I've already posted in the chat, but I will give you since you're. All right then, everyone, have a good one. Have a good night, and thanks very much for attending. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Bye.